Hey everyone, today we are going to be making this adorable Valentine robot. We will be needing a few simple materials today. Your favorite watercolors. You will need a pencil and eraser. You will also need a Sharpie, a permanent marker, and paint, brush, and water, plus your favorite eraser. I also had some pink crayon and some other permanent markers. Now you can use alcohol markers or Sharpies, whatever you want. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and clip on my paper here to make sure that it's nice and steady. And we're going to go ahead and start by finding the center of our paper. Okay. And when we think about where the center of the paper is, we really want to try to keep that even because that is going to be the base of the neck of our robot. So we want to find the center. You can always make a little dot. And then you want to make a straight line that goes across your dot. I'm just making a loose straight line. And I'll be erasing quite a bit in this piece. So once I make my straight line, I'm going to curve like I'm making shoulders on both sides. And it's going to kind of look like a rounded upside down triangle, but it doesn't have a sharp tip. So a rounded upside down triangle could also kind of look like a heart, but without the center being closed in. And then just squaring that bottom off. And you can always adjust that later with your eraser and your Sharpie. It kind of looks like a pot or a vase, something you'd see from maybe Vincent van Gogh. So now you have the base of your body. If you want to go ahead and erase some things and change some things, you can go ahead and do that now, or you can wait until you measure everything the way you want it to look. So now that we have the base of our body, we want to work on the arms and then the legs. And the arms are basically just going to come out of the side, that curve, and they're going to be kind of like rectangles. And they don't have to be any specific direction. They can go straight out. They can kind of tip. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to close these off with a line. And then I'm going to make kind of like a circle. And I'm going to close the circle, but I'm still going to make it look like it has kind of like a hook hand. If you like having the circle as the hand, you can do that. If you use more of a hook shape, you can come inside and just draw a little hill, leaving the two edges kind of sharp, and then erasing that center, the bottom part of your circle. The next thing we want to do is make two legs, and we're going to start on the edge of the bottom, and they're going to be a little bit wider towards the top and get a little bit more narrow as we hit the bottom. They don't have to be super long. Remember, they're wider at the top, and so they kind of get smaller. So wider at the top, more narrow at the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to make a little smile or U shape at the bottom of our leg. And then come around behind both of the legs and just do a curve, and then a straight line. Now, if you have a different and better way that you prefer to make your robot feet, you can do that. Mine is just pretty simple, just a little curve. And again, we're going to be using the eraser quite a bit today, so you can adjust things as you go. Lastly, we want to work on our neck and head. So again, we're going to find that middle dot, and we are going to make a slight curve. And then my head is kind of straight on the bottom, and I don't want my head to be completely bigger than my shoulders, but we can kind of use that to gauge us on how big our head should be. We can have a really big head or a small head. It's really up to you, but I'm going to go almost up to my shoulders, I guess, on this one. So I have that straight line. Then I'm going to curve up. So basically I'm making a box. I'm making a square. It's kind of a squish square, but their angles aren't sharp. They're rounded. So instead of going straight like this, I'm going to curve it. So I'm going to have more of a softer edge. So I'm going to have a curve opposed to more a sharp edge. So I'm going to curve that up, get the head, the height that you want it to be. I think this is a good height. And again, making that curve, going over. And now I have my little robot head. On the sides, I did these little decorations. They were like kind of like, I guess, ears, but they're not really ears. So they're just small rectangles on either side. And then a little box or a little square on top. And then I did the same thing on the top of my head. I did more of a rectangle on the top. And then more of a square on top of that. It's actually more of a smaller rectangle, actually. And then I did a little line and a circle. So to make this my Valentine robot, I put a big heart on the right-hand side. Again, if you start with an M and then make that V, it's an easy way to create a heart. So there's my heart. I gave my robot a fancy belt. Maybe it's one that blinks. You can do like circles if you want. I did circles in my first one, so I'll do circles in this one as well. In my arms, I just did lines that made like triangles and then a couple rectangles, nothing special. Then in the legs, I just did straight lines across, which made like rectangular shapes again. For my face, it's pretty simple. I did two really large eyes. Then I did another circle on the right-hand side, on the inside of my eye. And then from that circle, I drew around that circle that I made at the right-hand side, trying to give it kind of this pupil look. And lastly, I gave my robot a little smile. I'm going to go with one cheek smile. He's a cheeky robot. Okay, so what I want to do next is go ahead and go over the lines I want to keep. I'm going to go over my eyes first. Oh, this Sharpie is a mess. Let me find a different one. Really want to work hard to keep the outer part of the eye white. And that little circle white. And just use our permanent marker to make that eye. That way we can keep the light in the eye and really give our robot some personality. We want to go over all of our final lines with our permanent marker, and then we'll give our robot an eraser bath. Just clean up all those extra pencil lines. I'm not really overthinking all of my shape here. You don't need to worry about it either. There's no need to stress over if your line is extremely curved or if you went over your pencil line exactly the way you had hoped. There's always ways to fix it. You can always go over your line again. This side of my ear is thicker than this side. I can always adjust that as I'm going over with my Sharpie and then try to fix it to make it look like it's even. And it doesn't necessarily have to be even because maybe our robot's like us and we usually have one ear that's a little bit bigger than the other one. And if you have different details that you want to do on your robot, go ahead and do that. It's your robot. So now I'm just going to make those final lines, give my robot some color, and then you're good to go for an adorable Valentine robot just like me. Using watercolors with this is really nice because you can use the crayon behind it or a permanent marker or an alcohol marker to go ahead and do any of those details that are really special to you. All right, so now I'm just finishing up these extra lines here, making some different details. And again, maybe I decided to change something, so I'm going to go ahead and erase these pencil lines here in just a second. Anything I didn't want to keep. So I didn't go over those little things in the belt, no big deal. I'll go over those in just a few minutes. And now you get to go ahead and color it or paint it with whatever materials you want to use. I would suggest trying your favorite mixed medium together. It's super fun to mix different colors and different markers and crayons and paints to just have some self-exploratory colors and learn all about the different things. I have a couple different palettes today that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one. This is the red one right here. So I just want to use a little bit of water and a little bit of color and go ahead and paint that in there. Now remember, if you use watercolors, a little bit of water goes a long way, and you'll get that really vibrant color if you use a little bit of water. If you use too much water, your robot might be swimming in its watercolor. So make sure you're being thoughtful when you're using your watercolor. You're not making a swimming pool. Nobody is trying to go swimming today. So we definitely want to be thoughtful when we're using our watercolors. In the original piece, I used crayon to create little hearts to do the watercolor crayon resist. You can feel free to do that too. I'm going to leave my robot white today to save time, and you can choose to color yours in with like a gray crayon, gray paint, gray marker, or you can just do whatever you want. Let's see, what else do I want to add red to? I think I want to add red to his little details here. His little ears, that's what I call them. They look like ears to me. Also, when we're painting, if we hold our paintbrush like a pencil, it gives us a lot more control than maybe if we're not holding it like a paintbrush. Now you'll notice the top right here, it looks kind of pink because I just rinsed my brush, and so I used just a little bit of red opposed to a lot of color and a little bit of water. So I just got more color on my brush without getting it wet because my brush was already wet. And then I have my robot here. I'm going to go ahead and use that purple, try to mimic what I originally did in the original piece I showed you, and just add a few little details here. This is going to be more of a lavender, not too dark here. All right, let's see last details. Let's go ahead and throw some crayons on here, or some, yeah, let's do a couple little crayon hearts so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to use like a red, violet, or a magenta color, and just use some of these to make some hearts, and then I'll just gently go over my background with some watercolor once I am done with this, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like now. And you can do little hearts and big hearts, maybe some swirls, whatever you want. And I'm going to go ahead and use that red that I used on my robot, but I'm not going to use a lot of color. I'm going to use a little less color and more water, and it'll turn out to be a little bit pink. So let me go ahead and get that. And when I'm coming around my robot, I'm just going to tap around my robot to make sure that I don't get my robot this color that I'm going to be doing in the background today. So you just do a little bit of water, a little bit of color. And what we can do is we can go around our robot with some clear water before we start putting on the watercolor, and they'll kind of build a bridge around our piece and the watercolor so it doesn't interfere with what we've already done. Let's see how that goes around it a little bit. And you can just tap your paintbrush, get those details all the way around. And I'm just going to put some water up here in this corner. Again, making a little bit of a water wall here. A bridge for all the water to go to, but it only goes where I put it. I'm just going to tap on that color. This is called a wet on wet technique, believe it or not. So you just have your water, right? And then you go ahead and grab your color Tap that on there and it just moves wherever you put that water. I'm just going to put some more water down here by my robot's legs. Then I'll go ahead and tap some more of that red. That looks kind of pink now because it's been diluted. And then we're good to go. All right. Well, there is your Valentine robot. I hope you liked making this quick little art project today, and I hope you have an amazing Valentine's Day. Bye, guys.